Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ikigai Workshop breakout room for C4C. Today, we're going to be working on creating an Ikigai onboarding for C4C. This is the third workshop. I'm just going to dive right into it and explain what this thing called Ikigai is and why does it matter. Okay, so let's start off with this area. So this is Miro. This is a Miro template that we found back in April. It points out 4 things: what you love, what you're good at, what you can be paid for, and what do you think the world needs, but we're using it as a little differently. So these four things, combine them together in the context of an organization like C4C, you find amazing things that you want to do within that organization. So it helps you find your way within an organization like C4C in a very short amount of time. So this is the first one that we did. It is the one we have for Littlefish. It's our organization. What it looks like is this. These are all the roles and responsibilities that exist on Littlefish. We have a proposal where we look into things like wallets and then do research on them. So we have a wallet expert role who does research, use documents, Cardano wallets. Remote work wizard works on finding tools like Miro and then teaching it to others so everybody can use these more effectively. That type of thing. So we have all these different types of roles and responsibilities that make up the entirety of Littlefish. And what we're doing is kind of creating something similar for C4C. And this is the third workshop. So we got through quite a bit. The first one was this part. And please, if you could share the link to this Miro board, I'd like it if you also open this up and take a look for yourselves. And we will get to a part where we're doing this together. So this will be much better if we can get involvement from you guys as well. Even if you don't really know what C4C is about, this is a great opportunity for you to find out because there's already quite a bit there and all we're doing is organizing. So in the first session, we did a brainstorm. We thought of things like what happens in C4C. Some things that happened here, like we need someone to take notes of these meetings, record keep. Some people to do promotion, a person to do playlist selection. So maybe we need a C4C DJ, a person to do planning for events, and many other things. In the second workshop that we did last week, again in this breakout room, we started off by thinking about the working teams and the proposals that exist in C4C, and then moved on to what responsibilities and what roles exist within those proposals and working teams. And then we got through quite a bit. It looks disorganized, sure, that was the point, but we got through quite a bit and got quite a bit done. And today, we're going to try to organize all of that information into something that we can call done, so that we can put it into here and be done with it. And then anybody can come in and onboard themselves using Ikigai. So on to today's, before we jump into today's workshop, any questions so far on what this was about? Any questions about Ikigai that I could answer? And you can interrupt me at any point. I would love it if you do, actually. I may miss messages.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into it then.
Yeah. There's only yeah. We'll do our best. This is a process that any person or organization can do. Like you can do this for your individual self. And so like learning this process is actually very, very beneficial. Yeah.
Well, you can fill in your Ikigai for yourself for sure, but this specific thing we're doing in the workshop, it's very engineered towards organizations. But you can
That's
copy
true.
this to your own Miro board and then ask yourself, what do I love? What am I good at? What does the world need? This is the original. We changed it. So keep that in mind. If you're interested, I'll get you the original and I'll get you guiding questions to help you find your Ikigai within any context. So what we're going to do, we've already listed all the things that we talked about in the past week. And you can see the pink ones are the role names and the green ones are the responsibilities. So you can jump in and start reading these to see, these are the things that exist. And what we're going to do today, we're going to go through each of these one by one. We're going to copy and paste them right here to the role forge, where we're going to forge that role, because these are just drafts. These are just things we brainstormed, but we got to refine them and then put them into this area to Dunland. What you can help out with is you can ask yourself what the master of ceremony does, and you can come here to the area called responsibilities. These were just responsibilities that we collected from the board. If you have any other responsibilities in mind, you can add them right here. But you can ask yourself, or maybe you just ask us. So if it makes sense that a master of ceremony will be adding events to the calendar, what you can do is you can copy and paste that right here, and then we'll come back here and then talk about it and then add it, if that makes sense. But for this all to work, I need at least one core member from C4C to help me out on this, because otherwise we're just throwing random stuff on the wall.
Yeah. I think that's going to be me at the moment. Yeah, I think so. But Afia might be able to sort of see, because, and she also does this with WADA. So yeah, this first one, let's jump into it.
Okay, and if you want to just play with it, I have an area here. You can just come in and play with it right here, and just copy paste. Try not to cut anything out so that we can use it. But okay, let's get started. So Master of Ceremony, this is the one we worked on quite a bit in the last session. So Master of Ceremony works on public events.
Right. Yeah. This is a public event. It may be slightly different for our like working team meetings.
Yep.
Yeah. So that distinction is important, I think.
So would we say that person manages public events? Would that the general idea of what it is?
Yep.
Or is it?
Yep.
Okay. Should I add runs?
Manages and runs. Yeah, because they it's sort of what I'm fulfilling for this meeting, that just happened. And yet the on the social media channels, the Telegram and the Discord, which I was not able to do. A lot of this I think is to sort of help like decide like when is a role too much or but yeah, managing, sharing and doing the outreach. So like doing the posts on the social media parts.
Right.
And like, yep.
What I will try to do is take these and boil them down to like what is the core idea behind it.
Yeah.
Maybe try not to define it too strictly.
Right.
And then like give the core idea. So I feel like this is the person that is primarily responsible for the event, because
yes,
that covers quite a bit of detail.
Yeah, exactly. They would be the delegator. Like if they needed help, or like they would be the ultimate person. Like if the master of ceremonies for the Wednesday meetup did not do their job, then somebody else would have to do it. Meaning that they are the ones that initiate and run it. Does that make sense? How can I say that better? Like they ultimately, like if they didn't do it, it wouldn't happen. Or someone would say, oh, wait a minute, wasn't there a meeting today? And someone else would have to fulfill the role. Yeah.
So it feels like these three things covers at a high level what a master of ceremony does.
Yeah. And then agenda, I mean, it's sort of now, I mean, it's the idea is that the community sort of like adds agenda items from their working group meetings, and that agendas get sort of or schedules or topics agenda might have like kind of a bad connotation. But yeah, who creates agenda? And then one of the nice things about this workshop is just we kind of like, oh right, the agenda probably shouldn't be set by the master of ceremonies, but maybe it is. You know, it's just. But I like the idea of organizing the agendas with. Yeah, I like that better. Yeah, I like that better.
Does that make sense? Nice.
Yep.
Gets
Because
people aligned.
Yep. Gets people and the working groups aligned. Like, yeah, like that to me has a couple of different things, like within the meeting, like align. That's what I was trying to do with sort of like when I start the meeting, I'm like, okay, here's what C4C is. And I took a bit of time in the beginning to sort of like go over our, you know, like what C4C is. But then there's the alignment. You know, so you have to, when you align something, you align two things. So we're aligning like the membership or the attendees of the meeting with the groups, with C4C as a group, and then all of the smaller groups within C4C, like our events and our tokenomics and all of our different initiatives. Partners, we align the members to the partners so that they can effectively collaborate or connect or engage and participate.
So some questions for you.
Yeah.
We did say facilitate the meeting, but it seems like this is something that could be delegated. Like this person could be running that event, or could just be the person that, you know, organizes everything. So it is kind of merging two roles into one.
Yeah. I definitely see that as a thing, because it could be, because there's sort of like the planning part and the execution part.
Right. So maybe we should do something like, okay, primary person responsible for the event, running, and then planning.
But is that the executor or the planner part? Yeah, it's yeah. Planning and running, yeah.
There are two parts to this role. Maybe you want to delegate that. We'll add these here. And then this will go here. This will go here. Yeah, how about something like this?
Manages and runs public events, primary person responsible for the event, and delegate, someone who delegates.
Yep.
And then yeah, I kind of, even if, okay, so check this out for an idea. Even if that we don't delegate into separate people running and planning, it will help to say, well, for instance, right now, I'm doing both roles. I'm planning and running more. Yeah. And this is the benefit of this, because then I can say, oh, Afia, would you help to plan this for me? And then that would be a role, and she would be able to say, oh, right, that's organizing the agenda. And then she could say, all right, I'm running through and organizing the agenda. You know, maybe you know, work on the next task, getting people in the working groups aligned. So she's like, oh, right. Well, what are our partners doing? What's the education and the events doing? Like, it just becomes clearer, even if we just do it in one person at the moment. But these are ways that it sort of breaks down the running and the planning. Yeah. And I think that that same running and planning sort of split happens in a lot of these roles. So it's good to spend a little bit of time sort of talking it over.
I think what we're going to do with this, we're pretty much going to just copy over to this one. It's pretty much the same one, just for internal events.
Ooh, yeah. Let's look and see what.
So maybe we can put this into right here. Let's see.
Yeah. And then let's compare, contrast, see what
two things to ask. Keeping the time, I think that goes well with running. What is keeping the ceremony?
I don't. Yeah, I think so that there are to me that means that there are standard or recurring things that we do from meeting to meeting. And this is really just the public, well, it's the public events, like the public Wednesday and the monthly or periodic sustainability. So yeah, it's common best practices, C4C rituals and recurring practices, so that this is a C4C event, so that it's like our uniqueness, like we do that little preamble, what began as a challenge is now a community. And we do, like the community spotlight and the D-Work bounty, because generally all of our public works have a Gimbal token reward for participation.
Does this cover it? Exercise C4C rituals and practices?
Yep, I think so. Yep, and that's a lot clearer than just keeping the ceremony exercise.
Right. Okay, I think we are mostly done with this. I'm gonna put this all down here just in case we want it. But then we can take a look at internal MC. So this, could you summarize what the similarities between this and Master of Ceremonies are? We talked about
so
it.
The
And one moment before you start, this area, responsibility suggestions, if you guys can take a look, the community, and if any of this makes remotely sense to what we're talking about with Master Ceremonies, with internal MC, the one we're talking about, just put it right here. And then let us know so we can take a look at those as well.
And that would be super helpful. Even Kevin, who from your name sees that you're new here, like even if you're like, oh, in other meetings I've attended, the person speaking most did this or something. And, you feel free to add things there if you're on the board.
And this would be a great way to learn about what is going on and how you can help as well, because this is exactly like how you can help.
Totally. Yeah, it's just in the process of going through it. So the difference between the internal and the public, I think, is the big difference is just it's less sort of polished, meaning that the internal ones is just it's more of the planning and less of the running. It's more organic and less sort of structured. We do have recording and documentation, which really could be added in there somehow. And the internal MC is more, I think they have a documentation role, meaning you know what it is like, it might not even really be about the individual, but it's like, what are all the roles, what are all the tasks that have to happen at an event? Because I know that we've got another role as like the scribe or the documenter, but the internal MC is ultimately responsible. Like if it's just one person doing the facilitator role, and they don't find a note taker, for example, or someone to do the recording, then they are responsible for it.
So I think that's where delegate comes into play.
Yeah.
You are the person responsible. If it falls on you, so it's really important that we stress this for both of these.
Right.
And stress it even more for this one, because this is super important.
Right. Yep. So if we put down like a agenda, and then note taking on the internal MC is I think more important, because that's where initiatives and sort of commitments and responsibilities are put. Like, okay, we've got to have this done, or like a meeting is like for the SDG and the Cardano cube. We've been working on that over the last couple of weeks, and there's just a lot of like, okay, there's going to be a meeting tomorrow, and to make sure that people know about that meeting. So like delegating responsibilities, roles, action items, to-dos, like getting the to-dos, like who agreed to what, or we did this may be off, but like in the events we did some remuneration, we did some payments, and we sort of discussed and talked about the payments in a meeting, and then we had to figure out, and then a few weeks later when we got back around to doing the payments, we're like, how much did we decide to pay? And
So that would be the
those
internal MCs.
Yeah, that would be an internal.
See,
yeah, that would be a difference between the public and the internal. In the internal, there's more of a documentation. Like in the public, it's just presentation, and it itself is a documentation. Whereas the internal, there's like running to-do lists and what happened last time. Whereas in the public events, it's not super necessary to do what happened last time, or to keep like a running total of things. Yeah.
So could you give us some examples of internal events?
The internal events are,
does working sessions cover it all?
Which one manages internal events? Working team meetings, and those are, or we call them weekly meetings, and they happen on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday.
Okay, main objective, and we were gonna write one more thing, that was documentation.
Yeah,
key. And maybe that's more, that's both running and planning. So
yeah, but yeah. Running, yeah. Because in the planning, yeah. Yeah, in the planning part, that where we had up in the top, like letting people know. Yeah, so keeping time.
Okay, so I feel like this fits more into this area.
Okay.
Kind of like this. An internal MC is more the person responsible, kind of like a manager of this event. Number one, responsible person. How are you feeling about this? I think these are shaping up, or maybe needs a little more discussion to get this.
Well, and yeah, it feels, well, as we use it, it will, it will sort of, it will kind of adjust, in the iterative way, the evolving way.
So I'm gonna put those into done land, but it's gonna be like done for now land.
Nice.
How about that one?
Look at that. That's some master Miro work right there. Nice. Okay.
Come on.
I'm flattering you. Yeah. Let's do.
Which one do you want to do? Okay. Any community requests? Look at.
Yeah. Community. Which one do you guys want to see done? Because I think
Scribe is almost done anyway.
Yeah, that one looks like it's pretty good.
Ada?
Yes, I feel like exercise, C4C rituals goes to internal master of ceremony, maybe, no?
Also true, yeah.
We didn't add
because,
that one? Oh.
Wednesday meetings, and I'm not sure. Just asking Newman that question, maybe.
I do. No, I think it's true. Yeah, and that's actually maybe even more because we do less planning and more executing and running, and so we kind of rely on the ritual more than the plan. It's sort of like how I run this community event. Like I don't really, because I'm just solo in the planning and executing for the most part. I just rely on the rituals. Like I know we do the intro and the top, and then we talk about proposals in the middle, and then we talk about things coming up. And really, like for instance, one of the rituals is pausing to ask for, input from time to time. Like is like a ritual. So that standard operating procedure. Is important for the running of it as opposed to the planning of it. Now, of course, you want to plan for those things, but when you don't have a plan, you fall back on the ritual more than the plan.
I think we communicate these ideas by just running is a little smaller, planning is a little bigger here.
Oh yeah, there you go.
If we put these right next to each other, then it kind of becomes obvious maybe what it is about. Maybe we should change these as well from responsibilities to objectives.
Yeah.
And give it a color like this. There we go. There we go.
That's
all right. Which one do we want to do now? We can do scribe one. I think that's the one you're most familiar with as well, Newman.
Yeah.
That one.
And that anyway. And this sort of is like, yeah, let's do this one because it's really, these are all the delegatable tasks, for the MC, internal and public. These are the things that, just have to be, that are just not minor tasks, but the smaller subordinate tasks, like the things that make it go. So like aligning people, social media posts. These are the things that the more granular part, which can be nerve-wracking for the MC to sort of handle because they're working on they're looking up and more general, and a scribe secretary looks down more granular. Does that sort of?
Yeah, this is more the practical, basic things that needs to happen, but they are not at the high level.
Yeah.
It's okay to, but I think there's quite a lot of things here that we need to kind of unpack to make it simpler to do.
Yeah.
Because maybe not one person needs to do all this.
Exactly.
More stuff like, you can pick up some of this work and do it just like that. And also we did talk about a technician. I think this kind of falls with the technician, some of it as well.
The roadie. Yep. And I'm actually going to put something down that I just thought of, and we'll see if it's in there. But that's share. I share screen and links in the chat.
Right.
Also monitoring the chat is like we haven't done it, but yeah, it's kind of like the recon, like a reconnoiter, because when you're hosting or emceeing, it's very difficult to monitor the chat and get the links that because as people talk, there's generally links and stuff. So share screen and links in the chat, monitor the chat. I know that we put that down in the past.
Ada, do you have a question? Okay. So maybe we can come up with a more general name for this as I'm not sure. Like we want these to be as simple as possible for a newcomer to just pick up and do. So let's make their job as simple as possible.
Okay.
Maybe we want something like an area on this board where we can say, come on, help us do this. No roles, just responsible, just things you can do.
Right. And I think that that's a really as far as the one that we're just thinking of, the sharing links in the chat. And it basically means taking the slide deck that we're presenting from, And generally that's only in the public. Sometimes it's in the private. Or the agenda documents. Those other ones do have agenda documents. The working team meetings, then they're all public. It's kind of a thing. It's like they're all open, but it's just more sort of internally community based. Like we don't put a public meetup group post in for like the events planning or the tokenomics, the Monday, Tuesday, and Friday meetings. Yeah, support. Yeah, I mean, support is a good way to say it. You know,
I'm gonna try to separate this into two things. One is things that have to happen no matter what, like, you know, social media posts to alert about meetings. This has to happen no matter what. This is an MC support type of thing, maybe. Or maybe MC delegatables. It's not even a role.
Yeah, delegatables. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. You know, D-Work has like this framework of like a skill necessary or like a role that you have to do. For instance, like posting on social media, sort of post on the Telegram, you have to be a member of the Telegram group. To post on Twitter, for instance, you have to have the credentials for Twitter. So those we would just, I think we would just figure those out as we do them. Yeah.
Okay, I think those are the same one. Summarize what is happening. I think this happens during the meeting.
So summarizing what happens is that's sort of done after, and it's generally for the like for the instance the YouTube description, or
so same thing.
Yeah.
This one then.
Yeah, and the summary, to social media is something that is, I think, really important. Just so that it's just like, here is a synopsis or just a few sentences of what happened in that meeting, just so that, you know, the people who weren't there have an idea of what went on. And then there's recordings, you know, that they generally go with the recording. You know, it's like a TLDR, too long didn't read.
Right. So the more I'm hearing about this, it more feels like this is a role that is kind of like a second in command. You can come in, pick these up, do these, learn how to be an MC, and then in the future, maybe run your own events.
Exactly. Because these are things that a singular MC will do, you know, just maybe not as thoroughly and as sort of high quality. Because it would be great if we just had a summarizer in chief, you know, that would that sort of goes along with time stamping. That, you know, like people that after the fact look over the YouTube video and summarize it as they timestamp it. So they do the timestamps and they say, okay, what are the bullet points or what are the main topics, the theme, and then putting that into some type of documentation, whether it's a social media post or onto our website or Vault. Like that's how to keep a community together, that role in between the people that were there and the people that weren't there, and the future, I guess, in between the now and the future. And these are fundamental community roles. Like if you're going to be in community and work a process, I think that these are sort of common roles. So any group could possibly benefit from the work that we're doing.
Yeah, I feel like I understand how to what the roles within Littlefish community will be better just by looking at these.
Yeah.
I feel like
I'm saying that for your sake, because it's like I know you're spending a lot of like intelligence fuel here.
Oh yeah. I'll be. Thing is, what we're going to be doing is doing this type of workshop in a few other communities as well, just to
Yeah.
get an idea of what the different approaches are, to understand what it means, and then hopefully we're going to turn it into something that is very helpful and useful to any community, just building from the
Exactly.
ground up.
Yeah.
And at that
Yeah,
stage,
this is
this process.
community. Yeah, community collaboration standards. I think that's what we're sort of we're bashing through right now for sure.
Oh yeah, exactly. So let's see. We did this one. Social media, we did this one. Automated tools. What's this?
So automated tools, it's been social media, for instance. Oh, like Otter AI, like doing a transcript with the Otter, or in social media, there's like a like TweetDeck, which is just like a Twitter client that allows you to schedule posts. Which actually would be super easy to do because you could just schedule all the posts every Wednesday at an hour before our meeting. Twitter will send out a note that says, "Hey, this is what's going on." And there's got to be a bot. These are bots. Like there's got to be a Discord bot that will just repeat your Twitter posts. All of these tools are generally integrated with like if this then that. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's all those are the automation tool type stuff.
Okay, so I think I've categorized these into three things. Like some of those were just technician roadie stuff, and I'm gonna say that person only involves like the technical stuff.
Right.
An MC will need to do some of this work, like they will need to do meeting technicals if nobody else is doing, for sure.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's a technician work. Like you can just
Yeah.
come in and take that work, and it's okay that we have some overlap between these. I think we should have this giant area of MC delegatables just to give what MC does, also just to give an idea of what can be delegated. So it'll be very
Yes.
useful. Like all of this is MC's responsibility. Just let's make sure that it is. Social media posts about alert about meeting. That's MC.
Yeah.
Create and fill out agenda Google Doc. Introduce meeting agenda. All MC. Finalize agenda doc with links. Record the video and the log.
Yeah.
Okay, meeting technicals. Oh, this twice. This is facilitating
Yeah.
conversation.
Create the Zoom room. Do the recording. Upload the recording. You got it there. Post recording to YouTube. Post a summary and the social media. What's that next one? Summarize meeting. Okay, those are the same. This one and this one, yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we can just delete these. It's pretty much the same. Yep. All right, I think we have quite a bit of things to add to MC delegatable just from here. Timestamp videos. I think, yeah, that's also an MC delegatable, right?
Yeah, and it really,
maybe
it's
not.
sort of, yeah, it's like a technical, yeah. I think that's, this is just watching and doing, yeah.
So we could give it to MC, but we could give it to, maybe we can drop a note here saying a perfect MC would do all of these.
yeah. An Octopus MC.
Yeah, okay.
The Octopus says 8 arms, but it's also got 8 brains.
Oh yeah, that'll be, and they can think with their what are they called? I don't know.
They're suckers, or they're like tentacles. Yeah.
They have I don't know. They have some real good thinking power in those, don't they?
Yeah. They're just
Crazy.
It's a distributed. They're not concordata. They're not. They don't have a spinal cord.
Yeah.
Which in one way makes them easier to eat, and then another way, oh, not so.
Right.
I know you live at the coast. You're probably knocking back some calamari on occasion.
Oh yeah. That's a good part of living in the Mediterranean.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, these are some, Google Drive, right? Did someone put that in?
So with these, there is a bit of like, you can go too granular with this. Like, it may just
Right,
be
well,
like
let's
too
just
much
see where they
information.
fit, right? Yeah, let's just see where they fit. Add event to the calendar, that would be a technical thing. Definitely. Double check the time, event, and date. That's
We can delete
yeah.
that one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. As far as, yeah, it's good to remember to do, but
We
set up
hope the
templates.
MC will have that responsibility, like baked
Yeah,
into their
yeah,
brain.
that sort of just goes, yeah, that's sort of that's more of a ritual and you know, a standard practice. You know, it's just like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it does happen. Set up template in G Drive. The templating is definitely a planning thing.
Okay. If it's a process that you're developing, I think that's too much detail, and then it goes
Okay.
into like details of that work.
Yeah, creating the D work tasks. That would be, yeah, see, that's something that happens in the planning, not in the execution, not the running. And it is a technical thing. Like it's something that, you know, it could be automated, meaning, you know, you just have to just copy the past one and change the date basically on in this case. You don't need like special D work technical skill to do it.
Oh, but MC, I think, has the information to do
Yep.
it. Is that
They
correct?
have the information and they have the responsibility to do it.
Okay, so it's an MC delegatable, it seems.
Yeah, MC delegatable. Yeah,
And
definitely.
this is as well. Is it the same participation?
Yes.
Is it the same thing? Can I go?
The that one's bigger. You know, that one's like the more general
Okay,
task.
let's keep
General
both.
thing.
Set up meetup page. I think that's also MC delegatable.
Yep.
I think we went through these.
And it's interesting because that one is definitely that's one of those that you've got to have a credential. I can't do those right now because I don't have the credential to get in there to the meetup page. Me personally, Newman. So it's a lot of these, you know, like there are some like physical gates, meaning, you know, like there's some physical requirements for the role. It's like, so if like a new person comes on and you're like, okay, set up the meetup page, it's like, yeah, they can't do it because they've got to have the their login credentials. Yeah.
We can ask Swarm to provide a Cardano4Climate as a meetup host in that meetup group, and then we can just use the Cardano4Climate main credentials.
Yep. And that then becomes the gate. It's just like, yeah, okay, if you want to do these technical delegatable tasks, then one of the prereqs is having access to the Google, the C4C Google account for login purposes. Yeah.
So we got lots of newcomers from the other breakout room. So maybe we
breakout rooms here. Oh, what's going on, y'all? Should we recap what we've been going through?
Yeah, let's do a little introduction again to what we're working on this week. Last week we brainstormed about the roles and responsibilities. The pinkish ones are roles. The greens are the responsibilities. And what we're trying to do is refine all of those ideas into something we can call done for now, so that we can work on it later. And this is the role for it. This is where we're actively working on these. We're bringing all of these roles and responsibilities up here, and then we're thinking about them, and we're thinking about all the responsibilities that we didn't add and we want to talk about. If you want to talk about them, just bring them up here to responsibility suggestions, and then we can talk about them here. And we're trying to refine all of these. And we just worked on the Master of Ceremony and Internal MC. You can find them in the Done for Now land. And right now we're working on something called the MC delegatables, because we found like most of this work is just work related to what an MC should do, but it's a lot of work for one person. So we just created this category of MC delegatables, and then maybe we'll work towards
I'm
scribes
curious
and the technicians.
why it's considered an MC role when the MC is really the director of a meeting and doing the flow. This seems like a back-end admin kind of stuff, all of these. That
Right.
feels
So
really an MC thing.
right, this is a good discussion. Okay, so with master ceremonies, the original one we had right here. This is what it says. It says public events, lets everyone know the event, makes the meeting happen, agenda, facilitates meeting, gets people aligned, keeps the time, keeps the ceremony. So it kind of feels like two roles. One is the planner, one is the facilitator of that event. So what we did was we kind of separated it out like this, but maybe it should just be like, this is the master of ceremony, this. But the planning
Yeah,
is kind of something else.
Mhm.
So that includes a lot of work, including the running and the planning. And this goes more into the planning side and more into like, okay, the small things that need to happen, like promoting on Twitter, things like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we broke it down into like delegatable, like do the delegatable tasks. Like that's sort of, we're like, okay, here's all the things that need to happen if one person is doing it, the sort of, all the little things. And then like, a perfect MC would do all of these. That would be the thing, include, the technical, the planning, and the running.
Interesting. Because yeah, in my mind, there's a clear difference between MC and like admin. So the admin takes care of the planning, the time stamping, all the stuff that happens before and after an event. And MC steps in to just run the event itself. And there's stuff that you need to prepare to do that, of course, but I don't want to overload one role so that people are like, I'm never going to do MC. That's too much work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Chuck, do you think?
Yeah.
So this is how you should be. It's pretty much the running bit is MC and internal MC again, running bit, but internal MC kind of does the planning as well because it's a smaller event. Okay.
Do you get that distinction, Nori? This sort of idea between the internal, like our working group meetings, events, working team, PBL. Like there's the difference between the public facing events like the Wednesday and the periodic, the monthly events.
It'd be nice if we could align them so that they're the same. Like for the governance services guilds, the model we use is there's secretaries and facilitators, and facilitators are kind of like the MC here, where they run the meeting, they show up, they make sure the timing is good and the flow and keeping people involved. But there's a scribe role or an admin role that actually sets up the template for the agenda, gathers it, makes sure that everything's happening behind the scenes. And they also recording and doing all of the video and all that. So the bulk of the work is really on the admin side. The MC is really the show up for the meeting and
yes, this is definitely my sort of background from the theater. We the technical, the stagehands, and then what we used to sort of derogatorily called the talent. And so the talent is the host, meaning they're the guy or lady that puts on the makeup and is there, and they can't be overloaded with too much detail because they really have to be focused in on the content and the interaction and relational sort of stuff. But here's the thing, and I am mindful of the time. I know that it's important to give us a little bit of break before the next. But what happens when the talent doesn't show up? And then what happens when the scribe or the stagehands don't show up? That's kind of what I'm, like, you know, when it is just down into one person. In a perfect world, and we talked about having a cephalopod or an octopus run the show, that could do everything with a distributed brain and 8 limbs. But it's sort of that thought experiment of like, what happens when it's just one?
Yeah, then people should be able to step in and do multiple roles. That should be like an exceptional emergency case, like somebody had an unavoidable thing or something. But it reminds me of, I'm a member of a Zen center, and we have clear roles inside of there. There's like the Jiki-jitsu, which is the person who does the timing of the sit and keeps the discipline of the Zendo and all that and runs the show kind of thing. And then there's Densu, who's responsible for the environment and setting up the room and making sure it's comfortable, not comfortable, but making sure that the physical stuff is there, that there's incense and there's an altar and there's flowers and all this stuff. And then there's a third role of shoji, which is really about welcoming people and making sure that people feel safe and comfortable. They take care of the lights and the heat and all that kind of stuff. So there's clear kind of a team that does all these things so that each person can really focus on what they show up to do. And that's kind of similar here, where master of ceremony is there running it, making sure people feel welcome, making sure we stay on time. They shouldn't have to worry about, oh God, where's that link we need to share at this moment? There should be an admin support that knows the flow and says, we have all the links ready, we'll paste them in at the right time. And also taking care of Zoom security and all that kind of stuff. The facilitator shouldn't have to really focus on those things. There should be support from the admin. And that's why there's 2 kinds of admin, I think. There's pre and post event admins, and then there's the in-event admin support. And
how do you feel about what is on the board with this? Does that reflect what a master of ceremony does at a high level? If it does, we could just create the same thing for the internal MC, just for internal events. And then create admin roles as well from this.
Yeah. And this isn't to say one person can't do all this, because sometimes it will happen, but just to be conscious that they're actually taking 2 or 3 roles and it's not one role, just so that we can split it up when there is people available to do all the different stuff.
Yeah, Ada's just saying that those names from the Zen Center are awesome. We do have the recording, so but if you, I think that's fascinating because it's again one of these very structured and robust groups have these names. It's really awesome. Yeah, and thanks for recognizing that, Ada. I also was like, ooh, that sounds so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the work we're doing. And Nori, thanks for jumping in and sort of like giving us that because that is, I think, ultimately where we're headed. Like, and the goal is, you know, time to meaningful participation. So when someone new shows up, someone new's like, hey, look, I really want to be involved, and making it not not frictionless, but making it easy, for lack of a better term, easy for them to get involved and say, oh yeah, I'll take this role, and I can do these things, and then they feel like they're being a part of a team, because that's one of my, you know, ikigais, to work shoulder to shoulder. And I love that type of work, and it's so cool to me to be a part of like an organization that does things together, you know. Yeah, I am mindful of the time. I hate to see it go, but we make real good headway, you know. Does anyone have anything, closing thoughts?
I think that was quite well done. We will need a few, I think 1, maybe 2 more sessions. Yeah. I think at least two more sounds about right, and then we'll get there. But I think once we cleared out that internal MC, we're going to we already made a lot of progress on MC delegatables, which is admin work. We just need to categorize that, and then we're almost done. So
That sounds great. Do we want to shut off the recording? Let's say bye to YouTube before we say bye to each other.
yeah, sure.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye.
You do.